when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want.
There's a secret hiding in plain sight within the halls of the Department of Justice, and it is a secret that nobody in power wants to talk about. For years, we've been told that the Epstein investigation was over, that justice was served, and that the victims could finally move on. But what if I told you that the people currently in charge are actively working to make sure the biggest names in those files never see a day in court? While the media focuses on the latest political theater, a much darker reality is being hidden. We are talking about a system that protects the wealthiest people on Earth while they support a trafficking operation that destroyed over 1,000 lives. Today, we are looking at a moment that the establishment tried to bury, a moment where the mask slipped, and we saw exactly how the Department of Justice is being used as a shield for the powerful. You need to see this, and you need to hit subscribe right now because the names on this list are the ones they are betting you'll forget.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face?
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I answer
question.
your question about protecting?
You answered the question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got
released.
your answer. You said there's no
President
evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please
that
stop the clock. Stop the clock.
The legislation.
Time.
This is
Time.
this
I'd like
is
to reclaim my
ridiculous.
time.
Time belongs to the...
It started with a simple confrontation. Representative Ted Lieu stood before Attorney General Pam Bondi and explained a timeline of failures across 3 different administrations. Think about that list for a second. Acosta, Barr, Garland. It didn't matter who was in the White House. The result was always the same. The Epstein files stayed closed, and the unidentified third parties stayed protected. This isn't just a mistake, it is a way of thinking. The sources show that even when photos of victims are staring them in the face, photos that Congress legally allowed them to redact specifically to protect the victims of the DOJ still claims there isn't enough evidence to even start an investigation. While the DOJ was busy closing cases last July, claiming they did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation, they were ignoring clear evidence. Lieu presented 2 specific photos of Prince Andrew. These weren't just random snapshots. These were photos of a man attending parties with Jeffrey Epstein, standing next to victims who have since been legally recognized under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act. The law is clear. Anyone who patronizes a sex operation is guilty of a crime. So why did Pam Bondi shut down the investigation? Why did the DOJ issue a memo saying there was nothing to see here? The answer is simple. Because while others dropped the ball, the current leadership is actively reclaiming their time to ensure the protection of men like Prince Andrew and, more importantly, Donald Trump. When asked if there were underage girls at the parties Trump attended with Epstein, the response wasn't a denial based on facts. It was an attempt to avoid the question, calling the inquiry ridiculous and claiming the presidency was transparent, while the evidence sat untouched in a drawer. This is the moment the room broke. This is the moment where the string of failures turned into a direct accusation.
I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is all on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was gonna stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized this operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
This witness wasn't some anonymous internet source. This was a man who called the FBI, a man who was so disgusted by what he heard and saw in that limo that he almost stopped the vehicle to physically intervene. He spoke of a girl who was later found with her head blown off, a death that officers at the scene said could not have been a suicide. And yet, despite this witness statement being on file, not a single person at the Department of Justice interviewed him. They didn't want the truth because the truth would make it impossible to keep protecting the people at the top. When Bondi tried to claim there was no evidence, she wasn't just being mistaken. She was ignoring clear records that point toward the most powerful man in the country. This is the ultimate string of failures. It is a system designed to distract you while they protect their own. As Ted Lieu said, if you had any decency, you would resign. Because as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 trafficking victims who have seen their abusers walk free because the people in power decided that some men are simply too big to jail. They want you to believe that if you're a working-class American and your cost of living goes up, you're on your own. But if you're one of the wealthiest people on earth and you're caught patronizing a sex trafficking operation, suddenly it's the government's job to bail you out and bury the evidence. Epstein should rot in hell, and so should every man who patronized that operation. But as long as we have a Department of Justice that functions as a legal defense fund for the elite, none of them ever will. This is the actual fraud. This is the list they don't want you to see. Don't let them move on to the next distraction. Watch the full hearing at the link below and make sure you're subscribed to stay on top of the stories they're trying to bury.